What if your thoughts were not confined to your brain? What if every idea you've ever had, every dream, every fear, every strange coincidence was not just a chemical reaction, but a fragment of something greater, something ancient, something vast, something alive? We've been trained to believe in division, mind versus matter, science versus spirituality, you versus the universe. We've built entire civilizations on these boundaries. And yet deep down, haven't you always felt it? That strange pull when you stare into the stars, that eerie déjà vu when a dream bleeds into reality, that sense of meaning in moments too specific to be random? What if I told you that these aren't just coincidences? That there is a pattern beneath it all, a hidden geometry, a universal rhythm, a blueprint written not in words but in numbers. This video is not about religion. It's not about mysticism. It's about something more dangerous, something that terrifies institutions, confuses scientists, and echoes through history, the idea that the universe is not a machine. It's a mind. And you, your thoughts, your feelings, your story are not separate from it. There's a symbol that brings all of this together, fractal born from pure mathematics that looks like ancient gods, sacred temples, and your own neural patterns. It's called the Buddhabrot. And today, we're going to unlock its secret. Not just with logic, but with meaning. So if you've ever felt like reality was whispering something to you, you're in the right place. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because this isn't just a video, it's an initiation. So what is the Buddhabrot? And what does it have to do with you, with your mind, your story, your existence? To understand that, we have to talk about numbers, but not the kind you were forced to memorize in school, not boring equations scribbled on a blackboard. I'm talking about numbers as the language of the universe, the silent code behind everything you've ever touched, felt, or dreamed. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, believed numbers weren't just for counting. He said numbers are archetypes, symbols that exist before we do. Like seeds, waiting in the soil of the mind, ready to bloom when the time is right. He believed in something called the Unus Mundus, Latin for one world. To Jung, the Unus Mundus was not a metaphor. It was a reality, a deeper layer where mind and matter are not separate, but unified. A place where dreams and atoms speak the same language. He saw this hidden world speak to us through synchronicities, those moments when reality seems to echo your thoughts. You think of someone, and they call you. See the same number everywhere? You dream of a symbol, then stumble upon it in real life? Coincidence? Maybe? But Jung thought otherwise. He believed synchronicity was a sign, a glitch in the SEN, illusion of separation. But what if we could go deeper? What if there were an image of the Unus Mundus, something we could actually see, not just feel? That's where the Buddhabrot enters. It's a shape, a fractal, born from a very simple equation. An equation that, when repeated, spirals into complexity beyond imagination. And when visualized, it creates a pattern that looks alive. A glowing figure of infinite recursion. It resembles ancient deities, sacred diagrams, even the human nervous system. But here's the twist. It's not made by human hands. It wasn't designed, it was discovered. It emerges from pure number. From math. From the very same logic that describes quantum fields and galaxies. Yet, it feels like a message. And that's the mystery. Why would something purely mathematical mirror symbols from religion, myth, and the unconscious? Unless it's all connected. Unless the Buddhabrot isn't just a mathematical object, but a bridge between the mind and the universe. Go deeper. Why would a cold, emotionless equation, just numbers on a page, generate something that feels sacred? The Buddhabrot is born from one of the simplest formulas in mathematics. You take a number, you square it. You add another number, you repeat, that's it. And yet what unfolds is something staggering. A shape that blooms with complexity. Spirals, echoes, branches like trees, curls like galaxies, pulses like neurons. Zoom in, and it repeats forever. Each layer revealing more structure, more elegance, more mystery. It's called a fractal, a pattern that replicates itself endlessly, no matter how far you go. And here's where it gets weird. We find fractals, Not just in equations, but in nature. The veins of a leaf, the spiral of a hurricane, branching of rivers and blood vessels, even the rhythm of your heartbeat. Nature is obsessed with fractals, but the Buddhabrot is different. It's not just like a tree or a coastline. It looks like a being, a form, a symbol. Its curves resemble the sacred geometry of temples and mandalas. Its structure mirrors ancient art across cultures, from Egypt to India, from the Mayans to the Renaissance. But no one drew it. No human invented it. It emerges spontaneously from pure number. And somehow, it looks familiar. Why? Maybe because it's not just out there. Maybe it's also in here. Let's talk about the brain. Your brain is made of about 86 billion neurons, each one connected to thousands of others. It's a fractal system, a dynamic web that echoes itself on multiple scales. And when we look at the electrical patterns of thought, dreams, visions, even psychedelic experiences, something strange appears. People report seeing fractals, spirals, sacred shapes, patterns that resemble the Buddhabrot. In deep meditation, in moments of awe under the influence of DMT, people see this form. Why would the inside of the mind and the outside of mathematics create the same image? Unless they're both reflections of something deeper. Unless the Buddhabrot is not just a visual curiosity, but a mirror. A mirror reflecting the hidden order of both mind and universe. And this brings us back to Carl Jung. He believed that symbols arise from the collective unconscious, a shared layer of human experience beneath personal memory. Symbols like the mandala, the tree of life, the divine spiral, they don't belong to one culture. They emerge across civilizations independently, like a message encoded in the human mind. The Buddhabrot may be one of these symbols, not made by culture, but discovered by it. An archetype, symbol that reveals itself not through myth, but through math. But here's the problem. We live in a world that doesn't listen to symbols anymore. We live in a world of noise, billions of data points, endless distraction, culture that worships logic, but starves for meaning. And when meaning is gone, something inside us breaks. Anxiety, loneliness, the sense that everything is disconnected. That life is just a series of events without a story. But what if that's not true? What if your life does have a pattern, a rhythm, a geometry? What if the chaos is hiding an underlying order? This is the promise of the Buddhabrot, not as a spiritual fantasy, not as a scientific anomaly, but as a sign that mind and universe are part of the same fabric. Let's go back to the math. The Buddhabrot is created by tracking the path of numbers that escape from a certain formula. When numbers grow too fast, they spiral outward, and their paths are traced. What we get is this luminous, infinite pattern. But here's what's important. This pattern is made entirely from the failures, from the numbers that didn't work. They didn't stay in the system. They broke the rules. And from that emerged beauty. Let that sink in. The Buddhabrot is a celebration of divergence, of numbers that went off script. It's a visual symphony of exceptions, and somehow it forms harmony, just like you. Your mind is not a closed system. You've had thoughts that didn't fit, feelings that spiraled out, moments that broke the pattern. But maybe those errors weren't mistakes. Maybe they were signals. Maybe they were your Buddhabrot. This changes everything. Because it means that even in chaos, there's a pattern trying to emerge. And if you learn to see it, you can align with it. Just like the numbers in the Buddhabrot, your thoughts, your story, your purpose may not follow straight lines. But together, they can form a map, a symbol, a message. And that message is this: you belong. You're not random. You're not separate. You are a fractal of something greater. You are the Buddhabrot, discovering itself. Let's flip the lens. We've seen how the Buddhabrot emerges from numbers. Now let's ask, what else is hiding inside mathematics? Because math isn't just a tool, it's a window, and what you see depends on how you look. To most people, numbers are dead, cold, clinical. But throughout history, they were treated as sacred. Pythagoras believed numbers were alive, that reality itself was made of ratios and harmonies. To Plato, the universe was built from geometric forms, the soul crafted by divine mathematics. To ancient alchemists, numbers weren't just quantities. They were qualities, symbols, keys to transformation. They believed that the material world and the spiritual world were connected not by magic, but by structure, by symmetry, by resonance, by number. And what's fascinating is, modern science is starting to agree. Quantum physics tells us that particles don't have definite states until observed. That reality may be fundamentally relational. Things don't exist independently, only as interactions, probabilities, information. What does that sound like? Mind? Consciousness? The observer? And yet all of it, all the probabilities, all the waves are described using what? Math. It's as if the code of the universe is not just out there, but in here too. Now consider this. Why do people across cultures, across centuries, describe spiritual awakening in similar terms? Why do they speak of oneness, of light, of sacred patterns, of being part of something eternal? Why do people, under extreme psychological states, describe visions of geometric forms? Why do psychedelic trips, near-death experiences, and deep meditations evoke images that match fractals? Why does the Buddhabrot, born from a simple equation, look like these visions? Lest it's all part of the same story. Lest the Buddhabrot is not just a curiosity, but a coordinate in the map of human consciousness. Think of it like this. Every mind is like a radio, tuned to a certain frequency. Most of the time, we're stuck on static. But sometimes in dreams, in art, in loss, in wonder, the signal comes through. A flash, a vision, a pattern. And for a moment, we remember that there's more, that something ancient is humming beneath the noise. The Buddhabrot is one of those signals. A ripple in the matrix, a clue, and it's not alone. Look around, it's everywhere. In the architecture of temples, in the proportions of sacred texts, in the myths passed down through generations. Tree of life, flower of life, the golden spiral, the divine eye, different names, same geometry. These are not metaphors, they're instructions, the same pattern. Echoed in stone, in story, in dream, again and again. Now here's where it gets personal. This pattern doesn't just describe the universe, it describes you. Because your life follows a pattern too. Think of your story. The suffering, the triumphs, the weird detours, the moments that made no sense until later. Zoom out and you'll see the shape. A recursion, the rhythm of fall and rise, of separation and return, just like a fractal, just like a hero's journey, just like the Buddhabrot. This isn't just poetry, it's neuroscience. The brain stores memory in patterns. We process meaning in narrative form, crave coherence, not randomness. Even our dreams, the most personal, chaotic creations, form recurring symbols. That's the unconscious mind. It doesn't speak English. It speaks in images and geometry and synchronicities. When it finds a match between inner and outer, it sends a signal. This matters. That's what synchronicity is. Not coincidence, but resonance. Your inner pattern aligning with outer events. The Buddhabrot is such a signal. Not a supernatural one, a deeply natural one. It's the universe saying, I see you. I know your shape. You belong to the pattern. But here's the danger. In a world of algorithms and noise, we stop listening. We stop dreaming. We forget the symbols. And when symbols die, so does the soul. We lose stories. We lose wonder. We lose the map. But it's not gone. It's still there. In numbers. In art. In your unconscious. Waiting, the Buddhabrot, is not here to be worshipped. It's not a god. It's a mirror, a memory, a message. That message says, you are not a random spark in a dying machine. You are a node in a living pattern. Your mind is not a glitch. It is a fractal, awakening to itself. So what do we do with this? We listen. We imagine. We create. We tell stories again, stories with meaning. We build symbols. We teach math not as punishment, but as poetry. Because math is poetry. It's the original myth. It's a universal language. And when math gives birth to the Buddhabrot, it's not just an accident, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to remember, to see beyond separation, to trust your experience, to live in alignment with the deeper order. And once you see it, you can't go back. You're part of the pattern now. You're the signal. You're the Buddhabrot. But this is only the beginning. Because if reality holds one hidden pattern, what else might be hiding in plain sight? What other symbols, what other messages are waiting to be discovered? The Buddhabrot is just one whisper from the Unus Mundus. There are others, some encoded in ancient texts, some buried in sacred geometry, some flickering in your dreams. Each one, a doorway. Each one, a chance to remember more. So don't stop here. There's more to explore. It's more to question. More to awaken. Follow the pattern. Follow the signal. Another video is about to appear, and it might just change the way you see the world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.